This is the Wikipedia page for Midge Barbie. Welcome to WikiListen, the podcast where we read Wikipedia pages and provide commentary. I'm Victor Varnado, KSN.
And I'm Rachel Teichman, LMSW.
Okay, this is Midge Barbie. I believe she was the Barbie who is pregnant. Is that it?
That is true.
Pregnant Barbie. Yeah, there was actually a version of Skipper who we cranked her arm and her breast grew, which I had read about before, but not Midge Barbie. I can't wait to find out what her deal is. Here we go.
Same. And Mattel, if you're listening to this, I want you to understand that to help expand your diversity line of Barbies, you can make a doll that looks like me.
Okay, here we go. Midge Hadley is a fictional doll character in the Barbie line of toys by Mattel that was first released in 1963. Midge was created at the same time as Skipper. She was marketed as Barbie's best friend. No Midge dolls were sold for the rest of the vintage years after the 1960s.
I wonder why. Midge was reintroduced in 1988 as part of the Play line, though two vintage reproduction dolls were made specifically for collectors in 1993 and 1998. The dolls sold in this time period usually had red hair, often with freckles, and her eye color was usually blue. Also in the period, Wedding Day Midge was sold. What? Really? Was she pregnant for the wedding? Anyway, with the groom being Alan Sherwood, who had been marketed as Midge's boyfriend in the vintage years. Midge and Alan had 3 children introduced named Ryan, Nikki, and Cassandra. They also had twins who were never introduced. This was known as the Happy Family line, and in the set, Midge was sold, quote, pregnant, with Nikki as a newborn baby. The Happy Family product became the subject of controversy when some parents disliked the pregnant Midge toy because they believed that Midge was too young to have children.
In 2013, Mattel decided to revamp Midge's history, reintroducing her as a best friend of Barbie's, but unmarried, without children, and with no connection to Alan.
Vintage years. When Barbie first came out, she was the subject of a lot of criticism, some of which that claimed Barbie was too mature looking for children. Midge was the first same-size friend of Barbie ever sold, and was created to oppose these controversies aimed at Barbie. She had a fuller, gentler face mold, although her body proportions were the same as Barbie, and they both stood at 11.5 inches, 290 millimeters tall. This allowed the two dolls to be able to share clothes and accessories. Her head mold was stamped 1958, the same as Barbie. When Midge arrived, the markings on the straight leg body mold they shared changed to include both her and Barbie. Midge had shoulder-length hair that flipped at the ends. Buyers had an option of buying a doll with one of 3 different hair colors, red, blonde, or brunette. Her face was usually brushed with freckles. The dolls that were sold without freckles had a longer hairstyle and are now hard to find. Depending on the doll's hair color, the color of her 2-piece swimming suit varied. If Midge had red hair, her swimsuit was yellow and orange. For blonde hair, it was in 2 shades of blue. And if she was a brunette, it was pink and red. The first vintage Midge dolls had a value of $175 MIB mint in box in 2007.
For the first 2 years that Midge was sold, she had straight legs that could not bend at the knee. A rare Midge with teeth was sold the first year and is now sought after by collectors. 1 year later, in 1964, the dolls that were sold had slightly longer hair. Midge's boyfriend Alan arrived as well. Early in 1965, Wig's Wardrobe Midge was sold and consisted of a Midge head with short mottled hair and 3 wigs. This was the Midge counterpart of the fashion queen Barbie. Since she came with only a head, another doll had to provide for the body. In 1965, Midge with bendable legs was introduced. She had shorter bobbed hair like the American Girl Barbie with a blue headband. Her swimming suit was different as well and was now 1-piece and striped.
I didn't know there was an American Girl Barbie.
There was an American Girl Barbie, apparently.
Huh. There was also a Japanese exclusive Midge only offered in Japan in the years 1963 and 1964. These dolls were similar to a fashion queen in which they had molded hair, but a very different face mold and more of a bouffant-shaped head.
Return. From her introduction until 1967, Midge was marketed as Barbie's original best friend, but no dolls were sold for about 20 years until 1988, when California Dream Midge was sold as part of a beach line, which used the Steffi mold. The same Steffi mold was used for Cool Times Midge in 1989. In 1990, she began to use the Diva mold for All Stars Midge and the Beat Midge. In 1991, she was married to Alan, now spelled A-L-A-N. Before and after the Wedding Day Midge doll was sold, many Midge Playline dolls were produced. Before Wedding Day Midge dolls still had freckles, but up until Hawaii Midge was sold in 1999, the dolls lacked freckles. Most of the dolls were red-haired with blue or green eyes, but some dolls were brunette. The most commonly used head mold for Midge in this period was the Diva mold, stamped 1985.
A 35th anniversary Midge reproduction doll was sold in 1998 for collectors, made to look like the vintage Midge dolls. She had red hair, was dressed in her original orange and lime two-piece swimming suit, and came with a reproduction of the senior prom outfit from 1964 to 1965, as well as a reproduction of the box the Midge dolls originally came in. Earlier in 1993, for Midge's 30th anniversary, a Midge reproduction doll was also produced, but she did not possess a reproduction of her original swimsuit or the original box. Like the later version, she came in a reproduction of the senior prom outfit.
I think that this section of this Midge doll thing is the least interesting section. But here's the last paragraph. We'll go on to the next section.
Which should be very exciting.
I think it will be. In 2013, Midge appeared on the web series Barbie: Life in the Dream House, where it is revealed that she has moved to Malibu. With this, her canon has been changed extensively, and she is a teenager who is retro at heart and still uses old-fangled terms. The whole Happy Family canon has been dropped altogether due to controversy. 2 Midge dolls were released in 2013. One is as part of a collector's set with Barbie, and the other on her own in the Life in the Dream House doll line.
Happy Family line.
Here we go.
This is what we've been waiting for.
Oh, yeah.
The year after Midge and Alan were married, a picture of the couple with twin babies was shown in a pamphlet, but the dolls were never produced. However, in 2003, she and Alan were reintroduced with a family consisting of them and 3 different kids, 3-year-old Ryan and newborn baby Nikki. This was known as the Happy Family line and was similar to the discontinued Hart Family line of the 1980s. The dolls came in both European American and African American versions. This was the first time an African American Midge was ever produced.
Midge was sold pregnant with Nikki, who was a tiny baby inside Midge's magnetic removable womb. This led to some controversy, with some consumers saying that the doll was inappropriate for children or that it promoted teen pregnancy. Another cause for this controversy was that Midge did not initially have a wedding ring, but this was later fixed. She also was packaged without Alan. Customers also complaining about the doll led to Walmart pulling the Happy Family line off the shelves. A new version of this Midge was produced for Walmart. This time, this is as written, everybody. This time is not pregnant, and with a cardboard cutout display of Alan and Ryan standing next to her inside the box. The Happy Family line included everything from a talking house, a backyard swimming pool, neighborhood market, and playground.
Later, around Nikki's first birthday, Midge was pregnant again with another child who was neither named or given a specific gender, as the gender was a surprise when the owner opened the doll's box. Midge's new baby was later named Cassandra. Midge has 2 known parents who are simply called Grandpa and Grandma. At first, the grandparent dolls were sold together as part of a big set consisting of the dolls and a kitchen playset, but for Nikki's first birthday, they were sold separately. Midge, Alan, and Ryan gave Nikki a dog for her birthday. They also came in both Caucasian and African American versions. They used different body molds to reflect their age.
Head molds. This is just a rapid fire list of head molds, everybody. Head molds. Midge's first appearance was made with her own head mold, Vintage Midge.
In 1964 and 1965, the Japanese exclusive new Midge face mold was released and was only offered in Japan.
Midge next used the Steffi head mold until the debut of Teresa, which took over the Steffi head.
Later, Midge used the Diva head mold from the Barbie and the Rockers set.
One version of the Florida Vacation Midge uses the Diva sculpt, while an alternative version uses the Mackie head mold.
Midge returned to the Steffi head mold for the 50th anniversary version.
Appearances. Midge appears in the web series Barbie: Life in the Dream House in the episode A Smidge of Midge.
Is that what we call her womb?
I mean, if you want to, but I'm not with you on that.
I think the controversy is kind of dumb. I mean, obviously the idea of creating a magnetic removable womb is kind of weird, but like, I don't know. What's wrong with teaching kids about pregnancy?
Well, a lot of people have a lot of opinions about that, and it's probably more than we can cover at the end of an episode. But I will say this. Figure it out, everybody.
In the late 2000s, there was a toy that was heavily marketed. It was a dog, and the dog came pregnant as well. And it was a surprise when you got your toy dog, you would open up its womb and like it would be a surprise how many puppies were there and stuff.
It is a surprise how many puppies were there.
Thanks for listening to WikiListen. You can find us at wikilisten.com and on all social media at WikiListen, except for Twitter, which is at wiki_listen.
If there's a particular page that you'd like us to read, please let us know.